Now, I would like to give you guys some tips for your first module, your first week in Arts 1010 elementary drawing. We're going to be setting up a still life. We're going to be drawing from this still life. We've got in the lecture portion, the lecture for this week outlines a number of sighting techniques and other techniques for getting your drawings accurate and getting the proportions correct. And what I wanted to do is go through a few of the things that I think about when I'm drawing and that I think are important for getting started. First, when you're drawing from observation, whether it's a still life, whether you're in nature, you must keep your eyes in the same place as you draw. So if your head is moving around as you're looking at something, your view of that thing changes and your drawing would change. So you really need to be conscious about finding a good spot to stand or sit and keeping your eyes in the same place so that the view of what you're drawing does not change. Another tip is to make sure you can see both what you're drawing and the drawing surface. So if I'm drawing at an easel or on my lap in the sketch pad and I have to look around the easel to look at what I'm drawing, you really have no chance of making an accurate drawing because your eyes are not going to be in the same place at each time that you look at what you're drawing. So it's best to have your head in one place and be able to, with as short a distance as you can, move your eyesight from what you're drawing, the subject, to the surface that you're drawing on. As we're talking about the surface you're drawing on, that surface must be perpendicular to your eye sight. So if we were to look, as you look at the surface you're drawing, a straight line from your eyes to your drawing surface, you want that drawing surface perpendicular to your eyes, going exactly in the opposite direction of that line, so that there is no distortion or foreshortening in what you're drawing. You must do that to get what you are drawing accurate. So that's why a lot of times we see artists at easels and they set that easel up so that their drawing surface, their line of sight hits in the middle of the drawing surface and is perpendicular to their line of sight. So if you sit down to draw your still life at a table and you lay your drawing surface flat on that table, you can't have your line of sight perpendicular to that drawing surface. So you're going to have to tip up that drawing surface so it's perpendicular to your line of sight. When you guys are sighting, in our lesson this week, we go over a number of sighting techniques where you're going to use a stick or a ruler or a pencil to measure in your still life and to find angles and to find parallel lines and perpendicular lines. This, when you sight in how you sight in that pencil has to be perpendicular again to your line of sight. So your sighting must be perpendicular to the line of sight so it relates to what you're drawing. The other thing you must do is when you're sighting in with your arm, you must keep your arm or that object that you're using for sighting at exactly the same distance from your eyes. If you have your arm bent, it's going to be a little different distance from your eyes. So that's why you sight with your arm straight out. Starting your drawings with light lines and being willing to change your drawings as you go on is very important. So if you go in and you're starting to draw and you're using really heavy lines, it's gonna be harder for you to change the things that are wrong. Really, in observational drawing, we want to be willing to change anything that is not correct, the correct proportions, the correct placements. We're going to continually be seeing what's in front of us and making adjustments with our sighting techniques and the other techniques, whether we're using linear perspective or other things. We have to be willing to change. So we're going to start with a harder pencil. The harder the pencil, the softer the line, and then we'll work towards darker lines as we develop the drawing. Another tip is work from the largest elements of your drawing to the smallest. So the larger parts of your drawing are going to be stronger visually in your composition, and they're also going to fill up more of the composition. So if you can start with those larger elements of the drawing and get those in a place that looks good for your composition and work out the proportions and the spacing, you are going to have a lot better chance of having a convincing, accurate drawing. Because if you start with the little details, it's really hard to change those details when you need to move stuff around. So start with the large elements and work to the smaller. So get everything in the correct place before going into the details. And along those same lines, as you're drawing, be willing to change anything that's wrong, no matter how far you're in a drawing. If you're drawing and you spent 3 hours on it, and then at some point you realize, oh no, that portion of this drawing is in all the wrong place, change it. You're going to learn more by changing it. Most of our drawings in this class are not like finished drawings, and especially if they are finished drawings or like portfolio drawings, change it so it's accurate. Be willing to go and do that. And then my last tip for this week is have fun. Nobody's going to get hurt if you make a bad drawing, right? So there's no pressure here. You go forward and have fun. And if you make a drawing that doesn't work, start again, and don't worry about it. Be fearless and draw, and that's how you're gonna be able to really improve at this activity. The more you draw, the better you get, just like anything else. So the more practice you have at seeing, the better you're gonna get at it. Well, that's all I have for this module. We've got, make sure and go over the lecture. Make sure and watch the videos that I have linked in this module to help you with your landscape or with your still life this week. And if you have any questions as you go along, do not hesitate to contact me at any point, either messaging in Canvas or via my Metro email. Good luck.